You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It is season 3. It's episode 31. Cubs, Mariners. Cubs win, Cubs win, Cubs win as Busch bashes the Mariners. Wow, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, review. Most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the socials. Fly the W670, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Email Crawly and I, flythew670@gmail.com. Crawly, how about some cardiac arrest on a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, sorry it took me so long to get on this year. I had to change my underwear. That was a little bit much. That's all I can tell you right now. That was an insane ending to a series. It was a up and down series all weekend long, but the Cubs were able to win their first road series. So how about it, right?
That's a good thing. Cubs win their first road series. They take 2 out of 3, and I sent you a text. We'll get to in a little bit why I sent it, but I said there's about to be language, but somehow the Cubs squirmed out of it. So again, Crawly, Cubs, Mariners, a couple of late games on Friday and Saturday. I will admit it was hard to stay up for all of them. But let's rewind to Friday. Wicks, Miller, 670 the score, and Apple TV.
Oh man, I mean, I just got to tell you, and I love Pat and Ron's call and Apple TV. For people that don't know, I mean, it is absolutely just a stunning picture.
Picture is great. Picture is great.
Right. You can go to the audio settings, listen to Pat and Ron, and get a picture that's true, full 1080p, the way God intended baseball to be watched. It was absolutely glorious. As far as the results, not so much. This was the game, Dustin. I was pretty confident that didn't look good for me from a Cubs perspective. Bryce Miller had been pitching lights out. Jordan Wicks had been, in my opinion, inconsistent. We talked about the Mariners struggling offense. Dustin, they only have 2 guys hitting over 200, Ty France and Mitch Haniger. Not only that, but the stadium over in Seattle is more of a pitcher's park.
That's a pitcher's park. That is a pitcher's park.
Right. And unfortunately, you think about that. Okay, the offense is struggling, the pitcher's park, go right at these guys, but Wick struggled with control. In the bottom of the second, he gave up 2 singles and walked a batter to load the bases to get 2 outs. Looked like he was going to squirm out of it with no damage, but then Luis Urias, former Milwaukee Brewer, coming now to Seattle to haunt the Cubs. He's their number 9 hitter, Dustin. He's batting 143. Wicks gets him to a 1-2 count, but hits him in the knee to drive in the first run of the game, and the Cubs are down 1-0. Then in the 4th inning, Wicks walked Mitch Garver, the 6th hitter, batting 158. He struck out Cal Raleigh. He walks Dylan Moore, the 8th hitter, batting 182, strikes out Luis Urias, then walked J.P. Crawford, the leadoff man who's been struggling, hitting 151 to load the bases with 2 outs. So he walks the bases loaded, and now you got to face Julio Rodriguez, who's been struggling, but you don't want to face Julio Rodriguez with the bases loaded.
Right. He's still Julio Rodriguez, right?
Right. You just can't do that. And so he singles, drives in 2 runs to make it 3-0. Ty France makes it 4-0 with a single. But you can't keep walking the bases loaded and expect to consistently get out of it. All 3 walks in that inning came around to score. Not only that, it runs your pitch count up. Okay. So, you think about it. 3 walks and 2 strikeouts in the inning. How many pitches that is? Wicks is only able to go 4 innings, right? So he gives up 4 runs on 5 hits, 4 walks, 6 Ks, and he hit a batter. That's 10 base runners in 4 innings, and half of those base runners didn't have to put a ball in play.
Yeah, I was disappointed, obviously, in the control. I did not see that coming from him at all.
He's had, the up and down to the control, but he's been able to get out of it for the most part, limit the damage. But, you're running on a tightrope when you keep doing that. That's the only thing I got to say. Now,
yep.
The bullpen kept it close. Drew Smiley pitched 2 shutout innings and continues to impress. He gave up no runs on 1 hit, 1 walk, and 2 Ks. Next came in Keegan Thompson, who came up when Jose Cuas was called down. We'll talk about that in segment 3. But Keegan went 2 innings, and he didn't give up a hit or a walk, and he struck out 3. If you're watching here on the 670 The Score YouTube channel, this was Keegan Thompson's outing, and the one thing that you look up there is he's hitting 93, 93, 94, 94. So when Keegan Thompson was a big part of the Cubs bullpen in 2022, he was hitting 93, 94. When he struggled last year, Okay. In 2023, his fastball was between 90 and 92 miles per hour. Okay. So it doesn't seem like it's a big difference, 2 or 3 or 4 miles an hour, but in baseball, it's huge.
Huge.
And, and if he can keep hitting that and stay in that velocity, you might get that 2022 Keegan, who was, along with Justin Steele, a real big part of that season.
Yep, that would keep him up here. There's no doubt about that. Now, on the other side, the Mariners, had Bryce Miller going, and he kind of shut things down for the Cubs.
Yeah, he did it against the Brewers to start before. He did it to the Cubs, 6.1 innings, no run. He didn't give up an earned run. We gave up 1 unearned run, 3 walks, and 4 Ks. In the top of the 7th, Nico Horner led off with a walk, and that was it for Miller. He advanced to second on a throwing error by relief pitcher Trent Thornton, and with 2 outs, Yan Gomes hit one to Luis Urias, which should have been the final out of the inning, but the throw caused the first baseman's glove to go into the running lane, and so it kind of hits Yan Gomes on the side of the hip and jostles the ball out, and the Cubs are on the board 4-1. In the 9th inning, Ryan Stanek came in to close it out. Michael Busch, who already had a double in the game, he hit a solo home run to make it 4-2, and that would be the final. How about Chris Kompka with this doozy right here? Cubs history, homers by guys named Ryan, R-Y-N-E, 282. All
it's Ryan, not Ryan Sandberg, not Ryan Sandberg. It's Ryan.
No. And homers off guys named Ryan, 1. And so that was off Stanek. So, it wasn't the greatest game. And like I said, I went into that one with my hesitation, and it kind of played out the way I thought it would. So Cubs lose game 1.
All right, so not a huge surprise, and it was late, but at least it looked good on TV. Game 2, even later start, Saturday night, but this was one that everybody was really interested in because this was Shota Imanaga on the road.
On the road versus Emerson Hancock, another good young pitcher who's been struggling a little bit. The Cubs with this one, 4-1. To me, Dustin, this game was really interesting because Shota didn't have his best stuff Saturday night, in my opinion, right? But he was still able to go 5.1 innings. He gave up 1 unearned run, 2 walks, and 4 Ks.
Just 4 Ks. That was the unusual part, right?
Right. His control didn't look as good as it has in his previous outings, but the Cubs did strike first when Dansby and Michael Busch hit back-to-back singles to put runners at the corners. Nico hit a sac fly to center, and Dansby scored, putting up the Cubs 1-0. The Mariners were able to answer in the bottom of the inning when Mitch Haniger hit one to Dansby Swanson. The ball was low, but Busch should have caught it. It was one of those, like, who are you going to give the air to? They gave it to Busch. The ball squirted out of his glove. Jorge Polanco had single. Shota was able to get the next 2 outs, but again, Luis Urias, who just, for some odd reason, one of those Cub killers, he had a double to tie the game. So that was the first run Shota has given up, but it was unearned. So he still hasn't given up an earned run in the major leagues. Now, the Cubs,
pretty impressive stat right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the Cubs offense didn't do much. They only had, Dustin, 6 hits, but 3 of those hits were solo home runs. One by Seiya. Michael Busch hit his 3rd home run in 3 games, and Miguel Amaya hit his first home run of the season. But Michael Busch was the only one in the lineup with 2 hits. So, struggling again.
Living and dying by that home run ball.
Right. And so the Cubs bullpen held the lead with Leiter going 1.1 innings, giving up no hits, no walks, and 1 K. Yency Almaty went 1 inning and struck out Julio Rodriguez and Ty France. Hector Neris finished the inning, and Adbert Alzolay picked up his 2nd save, giving up 1 hit and striking out 1 batter. So this one, I felt like we got to breathe a little and relax.
Yeah, that one was good. It would have been terrible if they lost that game because the offense hadn't done much, but they did just enough with the 3 home runs. And the problem was they were all solo home runs. But hey, a win's a win. So at this point, the Cubs have a split in the series. We move into today, which is Sunday, and we've got game 3, and it's Javier Assad versus old friend Luis Castillo, who has seen the Cubs many times as a member of the Reds.
Right, and Castillo's another guy who's been struggling really bad lately, and so I'm hoping, with Javier, I think Javier's pitched great, but you'd like to give the kids some run support, and they got it right away in the first. With 1 out, Seiya Suzuki doubled. Cody Bellinger, who's been struggling mightily, he hit one off the end of the bat, which Castillo should have pocketed, because there's no way he's getting that throw to first without hitting Bellinger square in the back. It's just the way that where the ball was and where he picked it up. He tried to go around him anyway. The ball goes into the outfield, and Seiya scores on the air. In the top of the 4th, Dustin, Dansby Swanson doubled, and Michael Busch made it 4 straight games with a homer, and the Cubs were up 3-0. What a series for Michael Busch.
Michael Busch, man. Wow. Yep.
Here's the thing, Dustin, is that, I had people on Twitter telling me it's the next Anthony Rizzo, pump the brakes. Let's kind of let this kid breathe a little bit. And I would say that here's the thing, when you got a guy like this and he's hot, which is great, because he came up last year and he wasn't, when you think about Mervis, when you think about PCA, and that was the same thing that happened with Michael Busch last year. But this year, even like at the very beginning of the season when he didn't have a hit yet, it looked like he was seeing the ball really well, taking walks, long counts and stuff like that. But, they're going to try to figure him out. And when they do, it's going to be how he adjusts. But really, really fun to see that. But like I said, Luis Castillo, I'm waiting for all of a sudden the dam to burst open and the Cubs to score 6-7 runs. He went 6 innings pitched. He gave up 7 hits and 3 runs. But he didn't walk anyone and struck out 9. And one of those uns were unearned. It was the error on Castillo, and there was the 2-run homer by Busch. But I was hoping for more from the offense.
Yeah, of course, you're hoping for more. But again, just enough. We'll take it. Just enough.
Javier Assad was cruising until the 6th inning. In that 6th, he gave up a 1-out single to J.P. Crawford. He struck out Mitch Haniger for the 2nd out. But then Jorge Polanco hits a 2-run homer, and the lead was cut to 3-2. Assad's day was done. He went 5.2 innings pitched. He gave up 2 runs on 4 hits, with all the runs and half the hits coming in that 6th inning. So another good start for Javier Assad. If you're looking for a 5th starter, I mean, this is what you expect, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Listen, absolutely. You could do a whole hell of a lot worse than that guy.
Now, here's where we have to get out the Pepto-Dismal. We should see if they will sponsor us, Dustin, because I was down in that stuff there. Yency Almonte's first out of the chute. He finishes the 6th inning, no problem. He comes out in the 7th. He hits Dylan Moore and walks Mitch Garver to put the first 2 on. Tying run is at 2nd without either guy hitting the ball. Here we go again, right? Mark Leiter comes in and gets Cal Raleigh to line out to center to put runners at the corner, the runner advanced. And with 1 out, Leiter got Luke Raley to ground into a double play to get out of the inning. Dustin, Mark Leiter looks to me like he did in the middle of last season. We're talking June through August, where he was, along with Abder Alzolay, one of the best relievers that the Cubs had.
Yeah, he's looking really nice right now.
Now, Hector Neris, not so much. He walks the first. He pitches the 8th. He walks the first 2 batters. He got a strikeout. Then he walked Jorge Polanco to load the bases with 1 out. But Neris got Ty France to ground into a double play. Dansby runs, grabs it, steps on the base. He throws a 1-hopper because he has to get rid of that ball quick to first. And Michael Busch, again, when you're comparing him to Anthony Rizzo, he's not nowhere near the defender he is, but he makes the catch, gets the double play to get the Cubs out of the inning. But Dustin, you can't walk the bases loaded.
No, I mean, you cannot walk the bases loaded. I mean, you can't do it. But so
Dustin,
aggravating.
when you got a
so
team like,
aggravating.
When you got a team like the Dodgers or the Rangers or something like that, I can see that happening, right? Oops, you walked, when you got to go through like Mookie Betts and Shohei and Freddie Freeman, maybe that happens, but this is not the Dodgers. These are not guys that are crushing the ball. You cannot do that. That's inexcusable in my opinion.
Inexcusable, Crawly, is a great way to put it. Inexcusable.
Now we get to the 9th, and this is, Dustin, I think where you're texting me that, that was the 8th you were texting me with Neris about bad words coming out there. But we get to the 9th, and Adbert Alzolay, and we're just hoping he really locks it in here. He comes out there, right? And so he gets the first out, strikeout, no problem. Gets the 2nd out, Mitch Garver, great. Then Cal Raleigh singles on a ground ball to right fielder. So the winning run at home plate, they're going to pinch run Julio Rodriguez, who had the day off today. Thank you very much. Scott Service, former, Mariners catcher and Mariners manager and former Cubs catcher. But they put Julio Rodriguez into pinch run for Cal Raleigh. And Adbert Alzolay with a pickoff, they call him safe. And Craig Counsell starts putting on the ears, challenge. He challenges it. And the game ends on an overturned call. The Cubs win their first road series of the season. But Dustin, some final thoughts here really quick. The Cubs offense really struggled. Look, I'm going to say, yay, I'm happy they won the series. But you're coming up against a much tougher team in the Arizona Diamondbacks. And right now, you've had Cody Bellinger struggling pretty much the whole season. Now add to that list Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, and Christopher Morel was hitless for the series, as was Ian Happ. And you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys on your lineup struggling offensively. That has me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Happ had a really, really bad trip out to Seattle. He's a coffee guy. Ian Happ, he can't wait the hell to get out of that town. I mean, and he don't want to go back. He had a rough couple days at the plate.
And the one thing I also do want to add, though, is that we've kind of been on Christopher Morel for his defense. He made some really good plays.
He had some nice plays, right? Mm-hmm. He had some really nice plays.
I am hoping in my mind that he can hopefully carry that over and keep going, but just get the bat going a little bit as the Cubs head into Arizona.
You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It is episode 31 of season 3. Busch bashes the Mariners. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Maybe drop Crawly and I one of those 5-star reviews. In this segment, we're going to rewind all the way back to when Crawly was out in Mesa. He had a chance to sit down with the Cubs prospect Brennen Davis. Davis talked to Crawly about his expectations for 2024, and he recently made his first start of the season for those South Bend Cubs as he works his way back from an injury.
Join me now on the Fly the W podcast. I am happy to have back Brennen Davis. Brennen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's been a while since you've been on the podcast, but you are here in camp. How are you feeling as far as health-wise? Everything's feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling back to myself and ready to roll.
Now, the last couple of years, you had a couple of injuries. I know there was a nerve issue in the back and stuff like that. But when you started camp this year, you really turned some heads. I mean, how good were you feeling on those first few spring training games? I mean, you were hitting the ball with authority.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. I made some adjustments this off seasons, and feels good to see some results out the chute. A little setback with the hit in the head, but I'm back to playing games, so ready to roll. Just so you know, I almost tried to grab that guy through the TV. I was so mad. Come on, Brent. But you're here now, and it's a lot of fun. And so when you're out here in this with Craig Counsell now, what is it like for you as far as this camp is concerned? How is it different than other camps you've been in the past? Everything's been great with Craig. Obviously, things are run a little different, but everybody has their own way of going about things, and I think he's done a great job.
Now, you guys got a lot of outfielders out there, obviously Ian and Saya, but then you got PCA, yourself, Alexander Canario. As teammates, you guys all kind of came up together. How much fun is it for you guys to be kind of out there in the outfield together, especially when they put you young guys out there for the game? You see your names in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. We all root each other on, and we're all there for each other because we've been through the struggles and the triumphs. So it's good to see everybody getting their opportunity, and it's awesome to support friends you've had for years.
Now, when you're taking a look, I know Justin Steele was announced as the opening day starter, and then Miguel Amaya, he hit that grand slam. But those are guys that kind of, they had some injuries along the way, and they made it to the big leagues. When you see guys like Amaya and Justin Steele having success, do you look at that and say to yourself, look, you can have injuries, it can knock you off, but you can get right back up to the big leagues?
Yeah, of course. They've done a great job of enduring some injuries and missing some time, and obviously you handle your stuff, there's going to be opportunities.
And for you, as far as I know you like to be out there, what do you do to keep yourself mentally in the right zone when you're recovering from injuries?
Just trying to stay locked in, keeping up with games and checking in with guys and seeing how they're doing mentally, and just kind of trying to stay involved in any way I can and being a shoulder to lean on if somebody needs to talk about something throughout the season.
Now, I've talked to a couple different players, and they say that the vibe in camp this time, it seems like a very close-knit group. Are you noticing that in the locker room, that everybody kind of seemed to be having fun, enjoying each other's company?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of returning guys this year, and it's a lot easier to mesh when guys know each other. And the personalities that we have this year are great. And Greg's done a great job of putting us in an environment to continue to bond and build.
Now, John Maley, again, he was the 2016 hitting coach, and then he was with AAA last year, and now he's with the big club as an assistant hitting coach. What's it like to have males in camp and be working with you again? Because he, to me, is like, he's such an interesting guy to listen, talk to hitting. What does he do to what makes him such a good coach, and what do you learn from him?
I mean, males will ride for you. He's the most loving guy that I've ever been around. He will do whatever it takes to make you a better player, and that's just something you can't take for granted. Somebody that actually cares about your success and not just forwarding his career. So he's a genuine guy, and it's an honor to be around somebody with that kind of experience.
So when 2023 ends, what do you start working on immediately to kind of get prepared for 2024? Is there something you said, this is what I want to work on, this is my focus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first off was my health. I had to make sure that I was checking all the boxes, make sure everything was good to go. And then after that, I knew I needed to make some swing adjustments. And me and DK and Michael Carter and a little bit of driveline, we all kind of pulled some ideas and came up with a plan.
So talk to us a little bit about driveline for our listeners that don't know. What is driveline, and what do they do there that kind of helps you improve your swing?
Yeah, I mean, they have all the numbers in the world, and they have a lot of smart minds over there, and they were just able to tell me something that I kind of already knew, but just in a different way that kind of made a little more sense.
All right. And so right now you're sitting here, and we got a couple more weeks in camp. Mm-hmm. Are you looking forward to getting into some games sometime soon?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to get in some games. Practice for 4 months straight it gets a little tiring.
And for you also, Chandler's your home. You grew up right outside of this facility. Yeah. How nice is it to be able to kind of be home, and how often do you kind of stop in and see your family and all that stuff? Yeah,
I mean, I probably go home 2, maybe 3 times a week. I go home a lot. My dog's there, my family's there, all my friends are still around. It's awesome though. I have a ton of support in this area. Everybody comes out to the games and supports me, and I couldn't ask for better friends or family.
Now today is, weather permitting, the Futures game, and they're going to be having it. And it seems like a really cool idea. Would you have loved to have participated in something like that back a few years ago?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, anytime where you get to get all the prospects throughout the levels together is really a really cool idea, and it's going to be an awesome experience for the fans to be able to see them all in one area.
Now, Jim Callis rated the Cubs farm system number 2. As someone that's in the camps, are you just noticing all the talent within the system, and how impressive is it?
Yeah, we've come a long way. Our farm system has grown in depth tremendously. You can really tell by all the winning records that our minor league systems have had throughout the years. So we used to not win very much at all, but now it seems like we haven't gotten a year without a championship somewhere.
Yeah, they just had the ring ceremony for Tennessee, and that had to remind you a little bit of, you were in a ring ceremony before too, right?
It was, yeah.
That was what, 2019 South Bend? Yeah. And so when you think about that 2019 team and all those things, where are you at now? Do you feel like, and as far as the maturity process, when you look back at you at 2019 and now you in 2024, what do you think's changed the most about you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot's changed. It's been 3-4 years since then. So I've grown up, I've gone through injuries, I've had success, I've had failures, I've had a lot of failures, I've had a lot of success. It's just riding the wave and being able to stay even keeled is kind of what I've taken away from everything, and what it takes to, I don't know, get to the next level. You kind of see what you do well, and honing in on who you are as a player and what the team needs is going to be your biggest keys.
Now, one of the things I love about Cub Camp is that they always welcome back the alumni. Mm-hmm. And so you'll see Rick Sutcliffe out here. I know Billy Williams was out here last year. What does it mean for you to see some of these Hall of Famers, some of these Cubs that had long-term career, and do they talk to you guys and give you advice?
Yeah, I mean, they're always around camp and they always want to talk. So it's a really inviting environment where you can be around some legends that have done everything that you hope and dream to do. And those guys, I mean, you can't take for granted the magnitude of their careers. Those guys are legends. And to be in the same environment as them and be able to ask them, pick their brain, and just kind of absorb what they have to say it's really cool.
And when you sit there, and when you came out to your first game at Sloan this year and the fans gave you the ovation that they did, I mean, that had to have meant a lot to you. The Cub fans are all rooting for you.
Yeah, I mean, the Cub fans are great. And I've had 6 years to be able to experience the greatness that you guys are as a fan base, and the loving support and care throughout the injuries and success. It's awesome, and I couldn't ask for anything better.
I remember you came out to a Club 400 event with, Cole Franklin was there, and we had a lot of fun, but a lot of people were just really impressed with the maturity you had. I mean, I think I was like 2 years ago maybe, but for 22-year-old, you've always kind of been a leader. Is that something that you still try to do when you're out here with some of the younger outfielders?
Yeah, I mean, I have some experience in the minor leagues, and I have some years under my belt. So I do take that role of kind of like showing the guys the way we do things here. There's a culture that we have here, and just keeps guys accountable and breeds success. So just kind of have to remind guys sometimes.
Well, Brennen, you know that we are rooting hard for you. We are going to be cheering and making sure that, wherever you end up, we're going to be cheering you, and we expect you at Wrigley Field. And when they finally call your name and you're out there running out on the field, we are going to give you the biggest ovation you ever heard. I promise you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
This is season 3, episode 31. Busch bashes the Mariners of the Fly, the W670 podcast. Don't forget to listen to us each and every week, twice a week, and leave Crawly and I one of them 5-star reviews. All right, Crawly, we've ended another week. We've ended another series. Cubs get their first road series win. Let's take a look at how things stack up in the standings. Pirates still in first. Cardinals still in last. Ooh, not quite. The Brewers have made it into the first place by percentage points, I guess.
Percentage points, the Brewers there. Pittsburgh at second, 11-5. Cubs at 1.5 back, as was Cincinnati that feasted on the White Sox. And as we say always, no tears shed for the Cardinals, who are in the basement. Dustin, we got some interesting injury news that we know now that Jameson Taillon's next start will be with the Cubs, okay, sometime during the team, so that is going to be exciting. We don't know specifically when, but he went to AA, then he pitched really well at AAA, 3 2/3 shutout innings, so they're ready to have him back. I guess my question, Dustin, is, who is not going to start? Who are you going to put in the pen? I don't think it's going to be Hendricks, as much as I think a lot of our listeners are yelling at that right now. But I think it's probably either Assad or Ben Brown. Who do you think is going to end up in the bullpen?
Interesting. This is tough. You kind of put me on my heels there. I mean, I guess it would be, you'd have to look at like the next 2 matchups and which one between Brown and Assad probably stacks up better. Now, Assad has come out of the pen. He started. He's gone back to the pen. He started. So I think that's what you gotta look at, is which one of these guys has. I don't think either guy should be sent down though. So I think you want to keep. I think you want to keep your best pitchers up here right now.
Let me ask you a question. What about Jordan Wicks?
Well, maybe it's Wicks. That's a good point.
Right.
It's really interesting. I really think this one is. This is no slam dunk. This is no grand slam. This is, do I bunt? Do I, what do we do here? I think it's not an easy answer. I don't think
it isn't. And
where are you at? Where are you at on it?
Tommy Hahn to be coming on the Mully and Haws show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm honestly, Assad is a guy that I know that they're probably going to want because he can give you that long relief, and the way Kyle's been going. Hendricks, you might,
well, here's the thing. Yeah, here's the other part of it too, right? Now, Ben Brown is going to start Monday's game against the Diamondbacks, right?
Right.
So if Taillon was to jump in, he could jump in before Assad was going to go today, since Assad just went today.
Yeah, that's 100%. We'll see how it ends up happening. We talked about it earlier. Jose Cuas was optioned to AAA. He had a 12 ERA, which again ain't going to do it. And Keegan Thompson was recalled and had a good outing on Friday. So Craig Counsell putting his feet to the fire, let him go, see what happens. And, I think he did a really good job. Like I said, if he can keep it 94 MPHs, you're talking about a guy that can really help out this team.
No doubt about that. No doubt about it. All right, Crawly, let's keep moving through this thing. Let's preview what's the Cubs have coming up the next couple of days.
Yeah, the next game they got against is the Diamondbacks. Last season, the Diamondbacks went on a miracle run. Unfortunately, their miracle was a nightmare for the Cubs While the Cubs were collapsing, the D-backs finished September with a record of 15-13 and finished the season with a record of 84-78, one game ahead of the Cubs for the final wild card spot. The Cubs played the Diamondbacks 7 times last season, all in September, and the Diamondbacks won 6 of 7. So that's the difference between the Diamondbacks getting in and the Cubs not.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, no doubt about it, especially the way the Diamondbacks just were so red hot and made it all the way to the World Series. I mean, that's your defending National League champion.
Yeah, they swept the Brewers in the NL wild card, and the Dodgers swept the Dodgers in the NLDS. They beat the Phillies in 7. And so they advanced to their first World Series in 22 years, but the clock struck midnight to Arizona's Cinderella season when they lost to the Texas Rangers in 5 games. But Dustin, Arizona was not content to sit on their heels after last season's miracle run. To me, they had one of the best off seasons by a team not named the Dodgers. They re-signed Lourdes Gurriel, signed Edward Rodriguez, pitcher, Jock Peterson, Eugenio Suarez, and in a last-minute signing, picked up the most sought-after free agent pitcher and one of the most sought-after free agent pitchers in Jordan Montgomery. So they lost Tommy Pham, Evan Longoria, who's like 90, and Austin Adams. But this is a better team that, to me, than went to the NLCS last year. So, and did you see Jordan Montgomery dropped Scott Boras?
I did. Very interesting. Very interesting.
You got to wonder.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you got to wonder if one of the other guys, the Boras 4, that really were disappointed with how this ended up, if anyone else is going to drop him. But the Diamondbacks just finished the series with the St. Louis Cardinals at home. They lost Friday night 9-6, but then Ryan Nelson pitched a good game in Arizona to beat the Cardinals 4-2 in game 2. And in the rubber match, the D-backs won 5-0 to keep the Cardinals in last place. They are currently second, Dustin, in the NL West right now.
All right, very good. Now, we just mentioned it a minute ago. Ben Brown's going to go tomorrow night in game number 1 against Merrill Kelly.
That's a tough one. I like the test for Ben. He struggled in his debut against the Texas Rangers on Saturday, that opening weekend. Went 1.2, gave up 6 runs on 5 hits, but then he looked really sharp in his second appearance against the Rockies. Luke Little started as the opener, but Ben came into the game in the second inning, went 4 innings pitch, gave up 1 run on 3 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. In his first start against the Padres on Tuesday, he went 4.2 innings, gave up no runs on 3 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. The Diamondbacks have not seen Ben Brown before, but Ben has his work cut out for him facing Merrill Kelly, who is 2-0 with a 2.29 ERA and 16 Ks and 19.2 innings of work.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, he limited the Rockies to 1 run over 6.2 innings for his first start. He went against the Yankees 7 innings, gave up only 2 runs, but he got a no decisions. Faced the Rockies a second time, going 6 innings pitch, giving up 2 runs. You know, Kelly features a cutter, 4-seamer, slider, and changeup. Cody Bellinger hits Kelly well, 7 for 25 with 2 doubles and 2 home runs. Ian Happ is 3 for 8, but Nico is 1 for 7, and Dansby 2 for 12.
Yeah, maybe it's a night to get Nico a little rest, maybe.
They tried that right before the Seattle series. Didn't do much.
Much.
Game 2, Kyle Hendricks versus Tommy Henry. What can we say about Kyle Hendricks that hasn't been said? He has an 0-2 with a 12.08 ERA in 3 games started. Gave up 5 runs in 3.2 innings against the Rangers, 5 runs in 4 innings against the Dodgers, and 7 runs in 5 innings against the Padres. He's giving up a ton of hits. He's not getting a lot of strikeout. One thing Jordan Bastian brought up is that Hendricks, who's been calling his own game through PitchCom since coming off the IL last year, is talking about getting more feedback from his catchers. Maybe he's getting a little bit predictable, but just look at the career of Kyle Hendricks. He's always struggled in April, usually figures it out. But he had an interview after the game against his last start, and he seemed very confused as to what's going on as well. Lourdes Gurriel, Kevin Newman, and Jace Peterson hit Hendricks well. Corbin Carroll, Kettle Marte, Jock Peterson, and Eugenio Suarez haven't hit Hendricks well in the past. Now, Tommy Henry is a 26-year-old lefty who is 0-1 with a 5.79 ERA. He started 3 games. He got knocked around a little bit in his first start, going 4 innings, giving up 5 runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. He did better against the Braves in his next start, going 5 innings pitch and giving up 2 runs on 6 hits. He also gave up 2 runs in 5 innings against the Rockies in his last start, so he's been doing much better. He mixes a 4-seamer, sinker, curveball, and changeup. And then in game 3, we have Jordan Wicks versus Brandon Pfaadt. Jordan Wicks is 0-2 in 3 starts with a 5.68 ERA. The issue has been the walks. Against Texas, he went 4 innings pitched, 2 runs on 5 hits, 3 walks, 6 Ks. Against the Dodgers, which was his best game, he went 4.2 innings pitched and gave up 2 runs on 6 hits, 1 walk with 7 Ks. And against the Mariners, 4 innings pitched, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, 4 walks, 6 Ks. You know, he's got to be more aggressive and limit the walks. We talked about that. He faced the Diamondbacks only 1 time last season, so they don't have a lot of experience against him.
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe the best news. I mean, I'm not loving this pitching matchups against the Cubs are facing here and what they've got coming out. I'm not loving it, I'll be honest with you.
Now, Brandon Pfaadt is 25-year-old righty who's 1-0 with 3 starts, 6.48 ERA. Got his first win against the Rockies, 5 innings pitched, giving up 1 run on 5
Now,
hits.
a lot of these stats, I don't mean to cut you off, Crawly, but a lot of these stats, these positive stats that we're handing out to the listeners coming against the Rockies. So that's just, with a grain of salt, right?
Grain of salt, absolutely. And his offense bailed him out as he got 2 no decisions. He gave up 5 runs against Atlanta on 8 hits. And against the Cardinals, he gave up 6 runs and 7 hits, which kind of goes to what you're talking about is that, we saw what Colorado was. And so hopefully, the Cubs can get to him. He features a 4-seamer, sweeper, sinker. The Cubs haven't seen him much, but Magical Morel and Swampson has good numbers against Pfaadt.
You love saying that name.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We know some of the knots in the hots for the Cubs, right? The knot is definitely Ian Happ. He is and the hot is Mr. Busch, right?
Michael Busch, 6 for his last 18, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. How about Seiya Suzuki, 6 for his last 20 with a home run and an RBI? And then, you said, at the knot, that's when you start looking at Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger. Those are guys, Christopher Morel, 3 for his last 19. Dansby Swanson, 3 for his last 19. And Ian Happ, 1 for his last 18. So those guys have got to start picking it up.
Got to start picking it up. This is a good time to do that, by the way, against the defending National League champion. What are some of the batters that Cub fans need to watch out for?
Look out for Christian Walker, first baseman. He's 8 for his last 18 with slashing 444, 615, 444. Their catcher, Gabriel Moreno, 6 for his last 15. So he's someone. And then Kevin Newman is 3 for his last 9. But you know how much he's, again, one of those stupid Cub killers. Yeah. As far as the knot are concerned, Mr. Eugenio Suarez, we get to hear Pat Hughes say that this weekend if you're listening to 670 The Score, 3 for his last 20. And then when you take a look at Jock Peterson, 2 for 12. And Kettle Marte is 5 for his last 21. So they got some guys struggling too.
All right, very good. So prediction time, Crawly. Tough stretch coming up here. 2 night games, and then we've got a afternoon game on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, this one is really tough because I'm if the Cubs offense were looking like they did during the homestand, I'd feel a little bit better. But, just again, you have 5 guys struggling in your lineup. You have to figure out a way to do this. And you're facing Merrill Kelly in game 1. I got the Cubs taking 1 of 3. How's that?
Yeah, 1 of 3. I'm with you. Just don't get swept. This is a real big game for Kyle Hendricks, I think, also moving forward. So I'd like to see him put something together. I'm sure he's motivated. I'm sure he's upset. He doesn't want to be throwing as poorly as it's going. So I like to think maybe that's the game that the Cubs could surprisingly get is a great effort by him.
I'm very curious that whole pitch com thing, whether, is he going, he wants to call his own game, but I wonder if, the catchers could help him out more. That's what he said. But like you said, with Taillon coming up quickly, the Cubs are going to have to make decisions. I don't think they're going to do anything with Kyle Hendricks, but Kyle's got to do better. And I'm wondering how quick, if he's pitching game 2, I wonder if Assad is going to come in and piggyback off him even in game 2 is going to be something to watch.
Something to watch indeed. All right, Crawly, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email Crawly and I, flythew670@gmail.com. And you can watch us. That's right. Heard Crawly talking about it earlier by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, have a good rest of your Sunday night. Have a great start to the week, and we will be back to wrap up the West Coast road trip.
Thank God I'm sick of these night games. Let's get back to Wrigley and win some games. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!